Hey guys, Jesus Have 18 here, and welcome to my web development tutorial series where I teach you the three basic languages of the internet: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for sure, and I might even do PHP if you guys really want me to. But I'm not that great at PHP yet, so it could be a while before those videos come out. So let's start with HTML. I'm going to today just because it's the easiest out of the three languages, and it's practically the base language of everything on the internet. Every website you've ever been on is built with HTML, or at least some language or program that creates HTML based from, like, say, Squarespace or Wix would create HTML based off of what the user does with its design elements or whatever, stuff like that. Alright, so there are 5 versions of HTML, and of course I'm going to be using the latest one because that's pretty much the only one that's relevant nowadays, since HTML5, as it's called, came out back in 2009. So we're going to use HTML5. So we're going to start, every HTML5 document starts with this declaration and doc type HTML. And that basically just tells the computer that you're making an HTML5 document, and it will read it as such. So now everything, as you noticed, I opened and closed this with less than and then a greater than sign. And everything in HTML that isn't inside of those will show up on your page. So you need to be careful about that, especially when it's in the head, which I'll get to in a minute. So now we're going to go HTML lang, and that basically tells us what language our website is in if you're trying to search for something. And everything needs to be closed like that on HTML. So it's less than slash the tag you opened and then greater than. But I won't be calling that anymore. I'll usually call it open and close from now on, just because that's how I talk when I speak HTML out loud. So now let's start with the head, and this is basically where you store all the information for the computer about your website. So let's do meta charset equals UTF-8, and this basically just 8, and that basically just tells us what your website is in. I just need to check really quickly. W3 schools meta. Alright. Do you self-close these? No, you don't. Alright. I was just checking to make sure if I close that with slash, but I don't need to. And now let's do a title. And we'll do HTML tutorial. So that'll give us that. And make sure to close the title. And you can put a lot of other things in the head, such as scripts or styles, which are ways to insert HTML or not HTML. Insert script is for JavaScript and style is for HTML, but we aren't going to be using any of those today. And again, if you're all worried about this, I should probably explain what that is. If you're worried about this, don't worry, because I'm not assuming that you know a single thing about programming or coding or anything. I'm taking this from the very beginning. So, sorry for writing body. So I've closed the head because that's all the information I'm going to put in there. So now let's write body, and this will be what actually shows up on your page. I'm everywhere here. There we go. This will be what actually shows up on your page and what the user can see. So let's close the body, and you want to make sure that everything's inside the body. At least everything that you want your computer to see. So with that, just to really tell you what I'm using here to write this code, I'm using a text editor called Atom. So you can go atom.io, and then I'll just bring you to the thing. It's free. You don't have to worry about paying for anything, and it's really useful. You can actually just write HTML in Notepad even if you want, but I prefer to use it in Atom just because it gives me like suggestions and stuff. You'll see what I'm talking about once you move into other stuff. But let's actually get started now. So let's go P for paragraph, and this is one way you can write text on an HTML page, or at least a way you can write text and have it be assigned a value, or assigned a tag would be the proper word. So then we can go hello world, and you'll see this. If you actually get into programming and coding, this is a fairly generic phrase. And I don't want anybody to get into the habit of doing this, but since we're just using HTML today, then I'll do that just to align in the center of our page. And I am using a localhost server. I'll explain what that means later. So let's refresh that, and there you go. So now we have our title up here instead of localhost /html.html. We've got HTML tutorial, and we got ourselves a hello world right in the middle of the page. And if you really wanted to, you could buy a domain and you could upload this file as your HTML page, and this should be your website. But it's pretty boring, especially since it's just a white background. So let's go background BG color. And we definitely won't be doing any of this align or BG color once we get into CSS, just because, you know, it's not really HTML5 style stuff, but this is what we're going to work with today. So let's give this a nice green color, and HTML deals in hex codes, and that'll give, if you actually want to find a different color, you can go HTML color picker. I can spell. There. So Google actually has its own little widget or applet or whatever you want to call it, and you can actually choose your own color, whatever color you want. I just went with a green, so solid. If you want to search, you can go. That'll give you a nice lime green. But yeah, you can also work with RGB, but not if in CSS and JavaScript. But if you're doing just HTML, don't use RGB. So yeah. That's that for HTML and stuff, or hex codes, not HTML. We got a lot to do yet, but if we save this and refresh the page, we should have a green background or a lime background. Nice. So now what we're gonna do is we are going to make an image. So what I just want to do real quick, do I still? No, never mind. I'll get to that in a minute. So let's just create an image. So we're going to go image src for source, height equals 300, width equals 300, and then we go slash there. And these tags in here, this just tells us where to get the image from. This height and width, pretty self-explanatory, I think. And if you aren't using percentages here, I'm pretty sure this deals in pixels. I'm like 99% sure that deals in pixels, but don't like quote me on it. And this is just because in HTML, when you do paragraph, as you can see, I have that text inside the paragraph, but you can't exactly have text inside an image, so you don't have to do this. Image is actually a self-closing tag where you go slash there. And that's it. So let's let's do a smiley face. I like that one. So let's just take that and I'll copy the URL up here. Make sure to hit view image, that way you get access to the full thing, to the full image, and you're gonna paste it inside the image src. And I know that just got really long, and I don't know why I can't scroll. There you go. So let's move that out a little bit. There. So we're kind of blocking our hello world on there, but that's okay. And now you see we have our image right in the middle of the page. And that's it. You've now got your image. So next we're going to do a div. And I'm started getting a little ahead of myself. I'm not going to line this image just because it's finicky on HTML5. It doesn't like to align if you're using HTML5 stuff or HTML4 align tags and BG color and stuff like that. It doesn't really like to use that. But with that, I'm just going to move on. So now you can do a div. And a div tag basically just creates a division on a page. And let's do a paragraph inside the div. Let's go lol, just because that's pretty generic text. Alright. So now we close the div, and just to really prove that this is like a separate section on a page that is relative to its own stuff and not to the actual page itself. I'm going to add a style just because, yeah, I just told you why. Anyway, so you've got our style in here. This is just basic CSS. There. I forgot the G. There. Yeah. So just to show you that, let's refresh the page. And I haven't aligned the paragraph yet. Let me do that. There. There. It's difficult to see. There you go. Now you can see it better. And yeah, I haven't set any height or width to the div yet, so we'll get more into that with CSS. But as you can see, I've got a separate section on the page, and we've got all our stuff worked out there. So that's a div for you. I'm just going to leave it like that. Nothing crazy there. And if you're seeing all this other stuff over here, that's just other files that I'm working on. And this is where I'm learning PHP, so you might see more of that soon. Or not soon. Might see more of that in the future, I guess. The somewhat distant future, because I barely make videos as it is. Alright, so now let's go and let's get into lists. So let's do, well, no, let me just explain. There are two kinds of lists in HTML. So there's ordered lists and unordered lists. And ordered lists are, the big difference between ordered lists and unordered lists is that ordered lists are numbered and unordered lists just use bullet points. So let's start an ordered list first, and that you're going to go open, OL, close. And then to make points on the list, you're going to do LI or LI, as I like to say. So let's just do 1. I cannot type. Alright. I'm just going to make 3 points here. Alright, so we've got ourselves an unordered list, and let's make a UL. The exact same thing so you can see the difference. That was an oxymoron. I'll make the exact same thing so you can see the difference. I just realized that. But you get what I mean. So that's how you make ordered lists and unordered lists. And if I refresh the page over here, we should have them right there. So there you go. You got yourself an ordered list and unordered list. And just something neat you can do with an unordered list is, say you want to start it at a specific point. You can go start, let's do 10. And it'll start at 10 instead of just at the 1. You can even start at a negative number, and let's do -7. See, same thing, counts up, like, it's smart, it's a computer. Well, not smart, computers are really dumb, but it's not that dumb. It can count up and stuff. Computers are math-based. It knows how to do that. So that'll end up with that. So that's basically how you do ordered lists and unordered lists. What have I got here? Paragraph, image. Let me make a header. So now that you're familiar with this, let me do H1. And we'll change that to H1. And that basically will just give you bigger text. So as you can see, it's H1. You're saying, why is it H1? Well, because it's just referring to the size of the font. So you want it H6, which I believe is actually smaller than just the default paragraph font. Yeah, it gets smaller. But that's that. I'll leave it at an H1 just because I feel like it. Boy. Alright. So I'll do with that. Yeah, so we've got ourselves the H1 there, and there's, how many other things do I want to cover? Lists, div, image, body. breaks. Say you wanted to have something else in the area you wanted to do. And you wanted to have a lel after the lol. When you want it to be in the same paragraph, you didn't want to make a new one. As you can see, it basically just puts a space. But what if you, even though you hit enter, so what if you want to put on a different line? What you want to do is you go br, just means a break in the page, and make sure you have that space and a slash there. Self-closing tag, and there you go. You got yourself a separate line inside the same paragraph, which is pretty neat. But I'm just going to get rid of it. I thought I'd just show you that real quick. Oh yeah, comments. So say you wanted to, no, I'll do that last. Let's do arguably the most fun thing here on this tutorial. We'll be making a banner. So we'll yell align equals center. Screwed up there. Oh, whoops, we don't want, there. Alright, so now we go DD, align, center. This is basically just making a container for a banner. So go B, make sure that's capital. And then we go marquee. And then we're just gonna, you can see I've got all these selections over here. Actually, I enjoy these just because, you know, I can work with them. But I don't actually need it, so we can go BG, BG color. Did I screw something up? No, I didn't. Anyway, let's go. And again, we're dealing in hex codes, and I'm going to make it white. So the hex code for white is 6 Fs. Don't know what's going on. A little glitch in the text editor. It's okay. So next we go. Oh yeah, direction, we'll go left. And I know I'm kind of cheating with the text editor thing, but I really feel like typing all this. Loop we'll set to 20 because I find that that usually works. And we'll set the border to 0. So that'll give us that, and then we can write some text in here. So we'll go, I'm a banner, smiley face. So now let's close these tags in the order they were open. So we go in reverse order they were open. So we go slash marquee slash B. Make sure that's capital. And then just to space stuff, we go slash DD and slash DL. So that'll give us our banner. If we go over to HTML, you can see we have a banner at the top of the page, and it's beautiful. And we've got moving text, so arguably the most fun and interactive part of our tutorial today. So now let's get into comments. Yeah, so say you want to have a note for someone else. Say you're doing a group project, right? And you're making a website for I don't know, a class or whatever, and you want your friends or whatever, whoever your coworkers even, to know what stuff is doing on your page. So you can insert a comment on top of elements on top of your page. Jeez, I can't talk. I apologize for the pauses. But let's go. Let's just insert a comment. So we're going to do open dash dash, and as you can see, instantly everything on the page just turns a light gray color. So that's because I haven't closed the comment yet. So we'll do banner and dash dash, and it's closed. That's how you write a comment. Say I wanted to say this, and let's open up the source. Just to hit in. I'm using Chrome, so hit Control U, and it'll show us all our code. And as you can see, we've got a banner. Did it not save? I don't think I saved it. There. So as you can see, we've got our comment there, and it tells us that this is a banner. But if you're working on something with good coders, they should probably be able to tell what that is anyway. But it's no big deal. So that's what that does, and I think that's it. Oh, and then space. So say you wanted to insert space on a page. Let me make this really obvious for you. So that'll create space on a page. So say you wanted, like, really wanted to make a website without using CSS or JavaScript. This is how you could align stuff that's being kind of pesky. So as you can see, that moves it. I could just get rid of even one of them and it would have the same effect. Or not the same effect, but as you can see, let's undo that. There. So there you go. That's space on a page, and that's basically all the basics, I think, for HTML. I don't know if there's much else that you need to know, but I'm pretty sure that's it for HTML. So if you want to know more, you can always check out this website here, W3 Schools. This is a really good website. You can always learn. You can learn HTML and CSS and JavaScript and everything, all on this page, or all on this website, I should say. But yeah, it's a really great website. I personally enjoy it, and I hope you guys stick around for the future tutorials. We're going to be doing CSS in the next episode. I think that'll take us maybe 2 episodes. And then just because CSS is slightly more complicated than HTML, there's a few more elements to it. And yeah, then we're going to be going into probably jQuery first, just because JavaScript is a little, not a little, it's much more difficult than HTML, I find. And it can be a lot more heavy than CSS, and even though it is a fairly light programming language, it can still be fairly heavy. So if you're used to HTML and CSS, so we'll do that one last. We'll take jQuery first, and I'll explain what that is once we get there. But I hope you guys stick around for the next tutorial. I certainly enjoyed doing this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like on this video if you want faster uploads, and as always, I will see you next time.